intros to all of these videos are the same, so if you've already heard my spiel, go ahead and skip to the topic for the day. Everything here is just my opinion and it comes from my own personal understanding of the game. So if you disagree with anything here, I'd actually love to hear about it. So yeah, feel free to send me a message. I wanted to create a series of videos helping newer warriors or just newer players to the game understand different ways that they could add value to their team. I consider a newer warrior to be someone who is just starting to play in competitive games, but whose tech isn't super refined yet. So maybe they miss a couple of J's, maybe they can't stick yet, or they're just not confident sticking in general, and just overall their flying is not super clean. So if your flying isn't super clean, what that'll translate to is that when engaging in one-on-one battles or just military battles in general, you're probably not going to be super successful. And because of that, that generally means that in order to be effective for your team, you have to find other ways to add value. That isn't to say that these aren't things that you will do as you become a better warrior. I think each of these things is important to do, but in general, these are things that you should probably focus on while you're still newer to being a warrior. The last thing I'll say before diving into today's topic is I'll be talking in a lot of absolutes. I'll be saying things like you should do this, you shouldn't do this, etc. But there are, like any other competitive video game or sport, there's exceptions to every rule. Really, the aim is to understand the fundamentals and core concepts, and then making conscious decisions on when you want to deviate away from them. Today's topic is going to be around how to add value by controlling the objective with a focus on Snail. In the intro, I had mentioned that as a newer warrior, you should be engaging in military battles or one-on-one battles much, much less. And in talking about the snail, there is going to be a lot of like military engagement when you're defending a snail, especially if both teams' focus is snail. But I want to create like an important distinction. So even though my belief is that for newer players, you shouldn't be engaging in military battles that much, and you should be trying to find other ways to add value. There's a huge difference between trying to engage with warriors and then, like flying in space, trying to stick a warrior, like moving around, trying to hit J's and stuff like that. There's a huge difference between that and controlling space and allowing the other more experienced players on your team to push those warriors into you where you happen to get a kill because you're controlling space safely. Those are things that every player will need to do, and it's something that you can generally do pretty safely. So in these sort of situations, remember that there is a difference between like really actively trying to get a kill versus just controlling space and letting kills come to you, or you pushing a player into another one of your teammates to get a kill. Instead of talking about all the different snail strategies or scenarios around the snail, what I want to focus on more is just a couple of simple or common things that I see that newer players do that they should reconsider. So we'll be blue in this situation, you're a warrior, and then we'll start with us controlling the snail. And we'll go to this side. So obviously we're on night here, but a lot of these concepts will translate to the other maps too. Dusk is a little bit different, but in general, these concepts should apply everywhere. So if you are guarding the snail, a lot of times what I'll see is that players will take the position right above the snail, especially if it's like here or here, but we'll just start right here. Now, if there is another warrior coming to this position, this may seem like an effective position because you're guarding the head of your drone. But in my opinion, this is not the optimal area to take. And the reason for that is you may be stopping this warrior from coming in here, but this scenario is quickly going to change as the snail starts to move over here. Once it's over here, you can no longer guard the snail. You have to move around somewhere else. The goal of trying to help the snail in this scenario is you need to find a way to get a kill on this warrior, and that's just not going to happen if the only places that you're staying are right above the snail. So, to talk about like better positions for this, like on night, what you should be thinking is that this is actually the floor of the map. Because there is a vertical wrap, on day map the floor is the actual floor of the map, but here the floor of the map is here, and what that means is you can generally trap a warrior low for an easy kill by having them be baited down to this area of the map. So by by staying right above the snail, you're actually taking a low position, which is not good for you. Like in this one-on-one situation, like it's a little bit better because you do get a little bit of movement of the snail. But a lot of the times, like this isn't going to be the case. There's going to be multiple warriors here, either on your side or their side. By taking a position that's this low on the map, you remove your escapability, especially if another warrior starts to come. You're basically saying that like you're just going to allow yourself to die here, by taking these like lower positions here, here, or here. A better thing to do is you have to remember that when you have control of the map, you don't have to move, but they do. If they want to stop the snail, then their players are the ones that are going to have to move. So a lot of times what I'll see is, this will be me and this is you. A lot of times what I'll see is we're going to be guarding the snail. I'm taking like a higher position, or maybe I'm even in the wrap thinking that I'm going to come down. And um, my thought is that I want this warrior to get into a space for us to pinch that warrior. And that's generally not really going to happen if you are taking the space in which I want them to be, to get that pinch, right? So with this concept of they have to move to stop the snail and we don't, I would rather you as a warrior stay higher and then give up the position above the snail, to allow them to come down in order for us to trap this warrior. All right. Basically, a lot of times in objective scenarios, the drone is just a bait. The drone is a bait to get kills on warriors, so that the next time around, once the drone spawns again, you can then move objective. So with this concept of using the drone as bait, really what we want is we want the warriors to move into these low positions, whether it's here or if the snail's over here, we want them to move over here to kill this drone in order for us to get a kill on this warrior. So the overall concept that I'm trying to illustrate is that taking a position above a drone or above the snail is not always the optimal position when you're guarding a snail. Sometimes it might be if you're the only one there, but most of the times you want to be away from the snail to create a trap for the enemy warrior. But let's say it's a scenario where you are actually the only warrior in this situation, and there is nobody else coming to help you pinch this warrior. Not taking the space above the drone is also like not a bad option. And you might be thinking, well, then that means that I'm going to have to fight this warrior, and you said I shouldn't be fighting warriors. Yeah, that's definitely true. But the thing about it is, you get assistance from having this other drone here. If you're straight above the drone and this warrior is coming in, to get a kill on this warrior, you do have to engage in battle. But if you take a different space and this warrior comes between you and this drone, then you no longer have to engage in battle. You only have to control space in order to get a kill. So maybe that's a little bit confusing, but here is what I mean by that. So if you decide to take this high position, if you decide to take this high position and this warrior is coming down here, this is still a bait, even if you don't have another warrior helping you, because you can get a kill without engaging in battle by just controlling this space here. And then how would you get that kill? Well, you would get that kill because you know that your drone is also another player who knows what's going on. You trust that they have an awareness of the situation, and this drone can jump off the snail and then bump this warrior into you. You create bump opportunities by sandwiching the enemy warriors in between you and the drone. You don't have bump opportunities if you two are stacked in a single line, because this drone can no longer get an obvious bump into this warrior. The best thing that they could do is take the time to get off the snail. Maybe they come up here, maybe they bump this warrior, but that's a much harder bump than something like this, where this person comes in, they get bumped here, and then they bump them right into you. Even if this drone misses this bump, that's fine. Like, it's only going to take another second for this drone to spawn and then come back to the snail, where you get another attempt at this same bump. Taking this position here, this drone missing this bump, you don't die, right? You can then go back to a higher position, you can escape out, whatever. But you're never going to get well, I'm not going to say never, but most of the time you're not going to get any sort of bump kill by taking this position, because you're no longer sandwiching the warrior in between you and another one of your players. Okay, and now we're going to move on to some defensive snail scenarios. So these scenarios will be that the enemy has the snail and you are trying to stop the snail. Again, I'm not going to go too much into strategies about how to stop the snail. I'm just going to talk about a couple of pitfalls that I see, and how to like maybe change the scenario around in order to add more value than you might be doing currently. So like I said, the characteristics of you as a newer warrior is it's going to be generally pretty hard for you to like win one-on-one battles, and like going into situations where you're outmatched, you're probably just being a negative for your team. So a lot of scenarios, what I'll see is, there are two warriors guarding this snail. Maybe you are the last warrior on your team, and you're thinking, okay, I need to come in here and stop the snail immediately because this is their win condition, and this is like this is how I add value to my team. Sometimes them moving the win condition, or you stopping their win condition, isn't the highest value thing for you to do. Like, coming in to stop this snail now is very low expected value, because maybe you stop the snail, but you're probably also going to die. Whether it's from the types of pinches that I was just talking about before, or the other warriors are just like better at flying and they can even get a one-on-one kill on you, or you get bumped or whatever. So in a situation where you're like militarily outnumbered, what you should be doing again is thinking about how do I delay this, or how do I wait until backup comes in order to even up the numbers to engage in this fight. So a lot of times what I'll see when this is happening, or maybe even there's like 3 warriors or another queen here or something like that, I'll draw attention to this scenario by telling the team that like I need help on the snail. Once more warriors come to help in this battle, now you no longer have to engage in risky battle. You can start to hold space and again let the more experienced warriors or the queen do most of the work in order to like get these kills or move things around. You have a much higher chance of having this be a winning battle if you have other teammates on your side, versus if you come in here solo and then try to do something tricky. Most time you're going to die or whatever. You dying here, what that means is that it's going to take a longer time to get up the military power that you need in order to engage in this battle in a winning manner. Like, say your teammates are like 2 seconds away or whatever, or 1 second, 2 seconds away. You decide to engage in this battle early. You're going to get a kill, and then now it's a 2-on-2 situation where your chances of winning is worse than if it was a 3-on-2 situation. So the concept that I want to talk about is, just because the snail is moving doesn't mean that you have to go stop the snail. Assess the situation, look at the types of warriors that are around the snail, and decide whether or not you can effectively kill the snail solo or not. If you don't think that is a high probability of you being able to win this engagement, then call for help and help your teammates by controlling space. So the last thing that I want to say about this topic, and this is a good example of that, is that a lot of newer players fail to realize this situation, which is delaying the other team from winning the game doesn't always mean that you're getting any closer to winning the game. a lot of times what you're looking to do is you need to be able to switch the state of the map into a winning position for you, right? Like a winning position here is wiping these warriors. It's not stopping the snail for like a second or two, right? Like sacrificing your life in order to stop the snail for like a second or two uh, is, you know, maybe it extends the game like an additional like couple of seconds or whatever. But you need to be able to engage in this battle in a way that completely flips the state of the map so that you can now be the one in control of what's going on. So sometimes there's nothing else you can do and you have to like just like create a small delay and then maybe some sort of like miracle or some like a great play happens somewhere else, like low percentage play happens somewhere else that allows you to change the state of the map. But instead of thinking about like how can I win or how can I lose less quickly, stop thinking how can I lose less quickly and start thinking about how can I get into a winning state.